Welcome to the Laughing Horror Podcast.
Good, and welcome back to the Laughing Horror Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Laugh, and on today's show, we're having a lot of technical issues, so I do apologize in advance. I'm also on a time constraint, so you may be hearing a lot of ums and ahs and all that stuff. Didn't have time to edit it today, so I do apologize. Typically, my wife will be working certain days at certain times, so I'll be able to get off work, and I'll get a few hours to record and edit and all that stuff, and then post the show. Unfortunately, the way her schedule was jumbled around this week didn't happen, so we're going to try to get you what we can this week. And with that being said, we've got a ton of news for you guys this week, and then a couple of releases. So let's hope for the best, and let's go for it. So we'll start off with the news from the Halloween camp. So Green and McBride spoke about the Halloween film to IndieWire. Although they couldn't give much information away, they did talk about how the film came together. But to me, the biggest thing to come out of this interview was McBride's quote, which stated, "David and I had a long talk with each other about what people do with these movies, where it goes wrong, what pisses me off when it comes to something I like. We all came to the decision that remaking something that already works isn't a good idea. So we will just have a reimagining instead." My apologies. That specific quote from McBride actually kind of gives me hope for the film, as he obviously is taking it seriously. He does seem to study horror films. He does seem to enjoy horror films. I know a lot of people are weary about him. We do have a chance to see what he's going to be able to do in the new Alien movie, I should say. And, we'll kind of make a bit of a judgment call at that point in time. But, again, we can't really say anything until it's said and done, right? So, it does put me a little more at ease personally, but I know it's not going to work for everybody. Next up, we have Stephen King, who has seen the new It movie. He's claimed that he does like it a lot, and he has been quoted as to telling people to calm down and that they'll also enjoy it. If they enjoyed the original, they'll enjoy this one. So I've stated before that I am looking forward to this remake, and to be honest with you, it stands even stronger now that King's actually backing it up. So small details have come out in regards to the new Saw movie. So Bloody Disgusting announced some minor plot details for Saw Legacy. Many bodies are being found around the city, and the kills fill Jigsaw's modus operandi. So although he's obviously dead, something's going on. So far, they've confirmed Tobin Bell will be back to some capacity, and they've also announced that Costas Mandler, who played Hoffman, and Carrie Ills, who played Dr. Gordon, will not be returning. So some rumors coming from my entertainment world. They've stated that part 2 of the It film is filming next Friday, so I believe next week. Part 2 is supposed to follow the Losers Club as they are adults, and they basically return to Derry to defeat Pennywise. I know the first film hasn't come out, but if you haven't seen the original, get the hell out of here, right? So no casting has been announced as of yet that I've seen. No other sources are really announcing anything either about this filming either. So it's kind of hard to believe that they're actually doing anything here, but that's one source that's stating this. Again, hopefully we'll hear back next week from somebody in regards to this. So R.L. Stine is celebrating the 25th anniversary of Goosebumps. So he made the special announcement over Twitter that he'll be releasing a series of books centered around fan favorite antagonist Slappy, and the series will be entitled Slappy World. So the first entry, Slappy Birthday to You, was released last Tuesday on February 28th, and the next 2 entries have been already revealed by Amazon and are both available for pre-order on there as well. So the second book is entitled Attack of the Jack, which is out on June 27th, and the third book, I Am Slappy's Evil Twin, is out in September. So in related news, so technically book news, Anne and Christopher Rice revealed their new book. So it's going to be entitled Ramses of the Damned, The Passion of Cleopatra, which is apparently the sequel to the 1989 book Ramses of the Damned, which is it's supposed to be released on November 21st. And currently, if you pre-order the book, you can email a copy of your receipt to ramsesnovel@gmail.com, and you can get a signed manuscript page. So that's pretty sweet. And there's also a handful of trailers that came out this week. We had Alien Covenant. I'm sure all of you guys have seen it. It looked excellent. Netflix also released the trailer for the German series Dark, which is very atmospheric. If you haven't seen that, check that out as well. Netflix also released the trailer for the new serial crime thriller series, which is entitled Mindhunters. Excuse me. And there was also a lot of DVD releases and news that was also released this week. So first off, Tales from the Hood, the collector's edition Blu-ray. It's getting released by Scream/Shout Factory on April 18th. In Tales from the Hood, Stack, Ball, and Bulldog arrive at a local funeral parlor to retrieve a lost drug stash held by the mortician Mr. Sims. But Mr. Sims has plans for the boys. He leads them on a tour of his establishment, introducing them to his corpses. Even the dead have a tale to tell you, and Mr. Sims is willing to tell them all. And you better listen, because you're in for a hood. When you're in the hood, even everyday life can be extraordinary terror. Anyways. Excuse me. I'm reading everything off my phone as well here, so I do apologize. And I'm also blind in one eye, technically, so it really doesn't help doing this with one eye. Following that, the special features for it have a featurette called Welcome to Hell, the Making of Tales from the Hood, which is interviews from the director, writer, producers, actors, and all those such things. There's also audio commentary with the director and writer, and vintage making of featurette from back in the day when it originally came out, the theatrical trailer, TV spots, and still galleries. Following that, we've got Vampire Cop, which is coming out on Blu-ray, and actually it's available now from RSR Cinemas. This was released once back on VHS in 1990, I believe I read, and has since never seen the light of day. So thanks to SRS Cinema, however, the film is getting its second release on Blu-ray with never-before-seen director's cut, which may be of interest to some people who would want to see something of that nature. So the synopsis goes as follows. It's not easy being a cop, especially when you're a vampire cop like Officer Lucas. But with the city in the grip of a psycho drug kingpin, it's time to pull out all the stops and take a bite out of crime. But now beautiful reporter Melanie Roberts is onto Lucas's little secret. Will she expose him or help him crack the biggest crime caper since Al Capone? Soon the streets are running red with stone-dead hookers and bone-dry mobsters, all with 2 little bites on their neck. Will Melanie be next, or is Lucas ready to make the ultimate vampire sacrifice to save her? Vampire Cop was filmed in Florida and Georgia over 1989 and 1990 by writer-director and B-movie legend Donald Farmer, the creator of Cannibal Hookers, Scream Dream, and Shark Exorcist, and the film co-stars Mal Arnold from Blood Feast and Ray McKinnon from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So if anybody's interested, SRS Cinema, you can Google them and you'll be able to find their website. Following that, we have the release date for The Girls with All the Gifts. It's coming out April 25th. And the synopsis is as follows. Humanity has been all but destroyed by a fungal disease that eradicates free wills and turns its victims into flesh-eating hungries. Only a small group of children seem immune to its effects. At an army base in rural England, these unique children are being studied and subjected to cruel experiments. When the base falls, one little girl escapes and must discover what she is, ultimately deciding both her own future and that of the human race. So, as for featurettes, they have Unwrap the Secret World, which contains... excuse me. Oh, sorry, that is the featurette. Unwrap the Secret World. Again, featurette, so they talk about the film. That's all the information that they have provided for that, so I do apologize for confusing you. Following that, we have 2 nunsploitation films that are being released on DVD, and they were announced by Severin Films. The first is Dark Waters, which is getting released April 11th. When a young English woman attempts to discover her mysterious connection to a remote island convent, she will unlock an unholy communion of torment, blasphemy, and graphic demonic depravity. This one comes with bonus features of audio commentary with the writer-director Mariano Beno, Lovecraft Made Me Do It, which is a featurette, Let There Be Water, which is another featurette, and 2 more featurettes named Controlling the Uncontrollable and Deep into the Dark Waters. And following that, there's a director's intro, deleted scenes, silent blooper reel with audio commentary from the director, and the short films of Mariano Beno, and let's see here, Making of Never Ever After. And then following that, the other non-exploitative film, or whatever the hell I said earlier, it is The Other Hell, which again is out on April 11th. A raging non-exploitative shocker about a series of brutal murders in a depraved convent is the synopsis. This one has audio commentary and with co-director and co-writer Claudio Fregreso, and it's moderated by Frico Ramos Frederick Cadillo. And there's an interview entitled Sister Franca, which they interviewed the actress Franca Stoppi, and To Hell and Back, which has archive interviews with director Bruno Mattei and actor Carlo Di Maio. And also has a trailer for special features. Following that, we have Ascent to Hell, which is due out on March 14th. The synopsis is as follows. Kate, an ambitious commercial real estate agent, has her sights set on a big contract with a wealthy investment. The deal is lucrative, but it is suddenly on the rocks as Kate, Mr. Browning, and the rest of the people involved in the deal must survive a mysterious supernatural trap. In order to escape with their lives, Kate must find the clues to the building's past. Now, following that, we have Friend Request, which is out on September 22nd. I've already reviewed this one earlier on, I believe, in episode 20 of the podcast. So in case you're interested in hearing my thoughts on it, you can go ahead and check that out. And because it's likely going to come up again as it has in the past. When I review something that's either currently unreleased in North America, it's typically due to the fact that I have a film distributor who sends me screeners and in exchange for honest reviews. So they basically give me access to their library. Other times I have friends that do, which I did for this film, pre-order a bunch of films from the UK. So when they're released in the UK, they typically get them here, and I sometimes borrow one or two depending on release dates and all that. So the film synopsis is as follows. Laura is one of the most popular girls in her high school. Seemingly adored by all, she is sent a Facebook friend request by lonely Marina. Having initially accepted, Laura finds herself being obsessively pursued by Marina, and not long afterwards hits the unfriend button. When Marina apparently commits suicide in an online video, Laura's life takes a turn for the terrifying, and she becomes the victim of a supernatural presence, attacked in her own home by a mysterious force. Is Marina responsible? And why does she refuse to disappear from Laura's friends list, even as it increasingly diminishes in numbers? Striking right to the heart of the social media generation, this topical and spooky horror is bound to have everyone thinking twice before unfriending that certain someone. So once again, if you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts on it, episode 20, it's all there sitting there for you. Following that, we have the release date for Split, which is going to be out on video on demand on April 4th, and it will get its DVD and Blu-ray release a week after on April 18th. Roughly a week after. 2 weeks after, sorry. We just spoke about this one last week, so I'm just going to skip the synopsis for it. Also announced was a list of special features, which we will go after, or over. So we got the alternate ending, deleted scenes, and featurettes called Making of Split, which is the filmmakers, cast, and crew that discuss what attracted them to the project and how they were able to bring such a unique premise to life. Now, following is the many faces of James McAvoy. A look at how James McAvoy approached the challenges of playing so many different identities. And the filmmaker's eye, M. Night Shyamalan, director and writer M. Night Shyamalan has a singular, big picture vision of his projects. Producer, cast, and crew discuss how Night's process gives them the freedom to execute their roles to the fullest. Following that, we have Underworld Blood Wars, which is getting its video on demand release on April 11th, and it's coming to Blu-ray and DVD on April 25th. So in the next installment of the blockbuster franchise, Underworld Blood Wars, it follows death dealer Celine as she fends off brutal attacks from both the Lycan clan and the vampire faction that betrayed her. With her only allies David and his father Thomas, she must stop the eternal war between Lycans and vampires, even if it means she has to make the ultimate sacrifice. And this one also came with some special features. 4 featurettes, one named The Evolution of Celine, which is a Blu-ray exclusive. Building a Blood War, which is also a Blu-ray exclusive, and the other two, which will also be on DVD, Old and New Blood, and The Evil Evolved. Following that, we've got an announcement for Donnie Darko, which is getting a 4K restoration and a theatrical run. Donnie is a troubled high school student in therapy, prone to sleepwalking and in possession of an imaginary friend, a 6-foot rabbit named Frank, who tells him the world is going to end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. During that time, he will navigate teenage life, narrowly avoid death in the form of falling jet engine, and follow Frank's maladjusted instructions and try to maintain the space-time continuum. So this was obviously an awesome movie, and with this new format in 4K, definitely a great time to watch it. And last but not least, for the release news, we've got Terminator 2, which is coming to theaters in 3D. We all know what this movie is about. Some people think it's going to be fun to see. Others are complaining that it doesn't need to be done, and some just don't give a damn either way. I personally don't care about the release. Specifically, like, I do love the movie, but I don't need to see it in 3D. Like, will I go see it? If the opportunity comes up, I'm sure. Do I need to see it in 3D? No, I don't. Like, it really, this day and age really doesn't have any effect. It like, for a film of that nature. Like, 3D used to have me, like hook, line, and sinker, and, you know, it honestly feels like I'm spending more money for a few specialty scenes that I really, in the end, I don't really remember. Like, I remember the scenes, I just don't remember what 3D was thrown into for them. But, you know, for those who are interested in this, the film will be in theaters as of August 25th. And just to let you guys know, like, a movie that was very dear to my heart came out in 3D a few years back, that being Jurassic Park. So, of course, I rushed to go see it. Other than the feelings of being a kid watching in the theater in 1993, there was nothing more I was able to take away from it. So, if you're going to go for the nostalgia factor, go for it. Otherwise, it's probably not going to bring anything additional for you guys. So that's it that we've got for the news for today, guys. Next up, we have releases. So, getting released on March 7th on DVD and Blu-ray, we have Incarnate, which is directed by Brad Payton and written by Ronnie Christensen. This one stars Aaron Eckhart, Catalina Sandino Moreno, David Mazouz, and Mark Henry. Confined to a wheelchair after a horrific accident, Dr. Seth Ember is an incarnate, gifted with the rare ability to dive into the minds of possessed people in order to exorcise their demons from the inside out. When the Vatican enlists him to exorcise a particularly troubled young boy, Ember is shocked to discover inside him the same evil spirit responsible for the death of his wife and child years before. Now, with the young boy's life in his hands and his own personal redemption at stake, Ember desperately searches for a way to destroy the demon before it kills him and unleashes its terror upon the earth. Following that, we've got Blood Runners, which is again out on March 7th on DVD and Blu-ray. This one's written and directed by Dan Lance and stars Ice-T, Michael McFadden, Chris James Bolin, and Aaron DeLamater. In 1933, Prohibition has proven a booming enterprise where average citizens break the law, hide in the shadows, and operate at night. The lust for alcohol has even lined the pockets of corrupt cops like Jack Malone. He collects a luxury tax from every bootlegger and scofflaw in the small community he has sworn to protect. While shaking down the newest speakeasy at the local underground, Jack uncovers a clan of vampires hell-bent on taking over the town. Now Chesterfield, an ancient vampire, and his horde must hide their secret at any cost. The bloody results leaves several killed and others trapped, facing a fate worse than death. With nowhere else to run, Jack joins forces with a busboy and a crazy preacher to save the innocent and make a final stand against Chesterfield and his vampires. Following that, we have Devil in the Dark, which is also released on March 7th, but this one is on video on demand. This one's directed by Tim Brown and written by Carrie Dixon. And it stars Robin Dunn, Dan Payne, Daniel Cudmore, and Brianna Buckmaster. When estranged brothers Adam and Clint attempt to reconnect over a week-long hunting trip in a remote British Columbia, they find the tables turned by a mysterious presence lurking in the forest. Convinced that they are now besieged by a supernatural presence, the siblings begrudgingly agree on only one thing. They will have to put aside their differences and work together if they plan on making it out of these dark woods alive. And following that, we have The Eyes of My Mother, which I have also done a review on a little while back. This one's available on March 7th on DVD. It's written and directed by Nicholas Pesce. And starring Kika Magalhaes, Will Brill, Paul Nazik, Flora Diaz, Clara Wan, and Diana Agostini. In their secluded farmhouse, a mother, formerly a surgeon in Portugal, teaches her daughter Francisca to understand anatomy and be unfazed by death. One afternoon, a mysterious visitor horrifyingly shatters the idols of Francisca's family life, deeply traumatizing the young girl, but also awakening some unique curiosities. Though she clings to her increasingly reticent father, Francesca's loneliness and scared nature converge years later when her longing to connect with the world around her takes on a distinctly dark form. And then following that, we have Kong Skull Island, which is getting a March 10th release in theaters everywhere. This one's directed by Jordan Roberts. The story is by John Gatins, and early drafts by Dan Gilroy and Max Bornstein, with minor rewrites by Derek Connolly. The film stars Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, Corey Hawkins, Samuel L. Jackson, John C. Reilly, Tom Wilkinson, Toby Kebbell, Jason Mitchell, John Goodman, John Ortiz, Shea Wigham, Eugene Cordero, and Will Britton. The story is about a man who travels to the mythical island and home of the King of Apes. A team of explorers ventures inside at what they find to be a treacherous island. So we all know what Kong's about. Definitely go out and check that one out if you guys get the opportunity to. I know if I can, I definitely will be doing so. Next up, we have Personal Shopper, which is getting a March 10th release on video on demand and in a limited theatrical release. It's written and directed by Olivier Assayas and stars Kristen Stewart, Anders Danielsen Lai, and Lars Eidinger. Stars Kristen Stewart as a high-fashion personal shopper to the stars, who is also a spiritual medium. Grieving the recent death of her twin brother, she haunts his Paris home, determined to make contact with him. And then last but not least, we have Raw, which is getting a limited theatrical release on March 10th. This one's written and directed by Julia Ducournau, and stars Garance Marillier, Ella Rumpf, Rabha Knight, Ufella, Laurent Lucas, Bully Lanners, and Joanna Priest. Everyone in Justine's family is a vet and a vegetarian. At 16, she's a brilliant and promising student. When she starts at veterinary school, she enters a decadent, merciless, and dangerously seductive world. During the first weeks of hazing rituals, desperate to fit in whatever the cost, she strays away from her family's principles when she eats raw meat for the first time. Justine will soon face the terrible and unexpected consequence of her actions when her true self begins to emerge. This one I'm really looking forward to see. Unfortunately, we don't get cool movies like this that are in limited theatrical releases, so hopefully one day we'll be able to catch it, hopefully sooner than later, but definitely looking forward to it. And that's all that we've got for you today, guys. Once again, I do apologize that we could not edit the show, take out any ums, ahs, all that crap. If you guys got any questions, concerns, anything of that nature, you can definitely email us, laughinghorrorpodcast@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Twitter, laughing_horror. You can also follow us and chat with us on Horror Amino, laughing_horror as well there. If you like to, you can also follow our Facebook page. Just search up Laughing Horror Podcast or facebook.com/Laughing Horror Podcast. And next to that, we got nothing else. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to subscribe or leave a comment, review, anything like that on iTunes or Stitcher, just type in LHP in the search bar and it will show up. So with that being said and done, I am going to try to figure out how to get this online without the internet, and we're done. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Have a good week.